Wow, there we go. All right, all right. So welcome everybody. This is the first time we're gonna have the big group. Everybody that probably signed up over the last week. Welcome to the No Flip Society. A lot of you want to try out to see what this is about. So let's get into it. Today, what we're going to talk about is the beginning part of the process to start a new construction project. For you all that don't know, my background, I was a civil engineer, flipped houses for a while, and got into more creative deal structures and financing, like owner financing projects. And then I got into new construction, ground up development, crowdfunding. And so, I got to the point where people were asking me all the time, could I mentor them? Could I help them one-on-one? And it's too cumbersome. I'm actually still really running a business. So it makes it very hard for me to have time to help people individually. So I came up with this concept of collectively having these groups where some people are ready to actually do their own projects. And we put all of them together and everybody works on deals and we structure things and everybody learns without the headache of having to figure it out on your own. And then we have some people that just want to learn the information and get the insight and figure out if it's something that they really want to do in the future, which is what the society is. So we have both groups here today. Everybody's on the call. I'm going to go through a little bit about site selection, how to secure land first. Then we have Crystal on the line, or on the Zoom with us. She's actually starting her first project. She's got an entire acre that we're going to subdivide, put a street in, make a small development. She's going to sell some of the properties. She's going to keep some of the properties. And some of the people on the call are actually going to be building their own new construction project on some of the lots that she has within her specific project. Okay. So let me get started. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see, where's this presentation? One second, I'll get this up. All right, so this is actually a presentation I used from a lecture I just did at University of Houston, but it's got all the content in it that we need, so we'll run through this. So, my vision is for us to learn how to do new construction and rebuild and revitalize communities versus just flipping houses and wholesaling, which is what, most people are in our community know to do. But there's a larger opportunity for us to attract higher incomes back to the neighborhoods, do it responsibly, or do projects like the one we're talking about today, where it's not specifically in a historically Black neighborhood. It's just an opportunity to build and make money. And we can do those at full market rate. So that gives us more working capital to go back and do other projects in the neighborhoods where, we have to be more socially conscious about what we're doing. So housekeeping, I hear somebody's feedback. So right now, if you're not, you don't have an immediate question, please put your phone on mute so it doesn't disrupt the call. Thank you. All right, so let's start off with my success triangle. I talk about this with everything. There's a shortcut to success in whatever you want to do. You need three things. You need the knowledge and experience, you need the opportunity, and then you need the money. Okay, the shortcut is you come to the table with only one. And so what I'm teaching you all about now is the shortcut. Okay, I'm gonna help all of you find the opportunities, or I'm gonna bring the opportunity to you. I'm bringing a team that has a lot of knowledge and experience in every different aspect of new construction, so you can learn in the process instead of trying to figure it all out on your own. And then with those two pieces, I have a lot of different ways that we can all structure these deals to get them funded so that you can actually get a project done and make money and be able to move on. So again, let's talk about purchasing property. So I'm gonna tell you some of the ways I've purchased some of my sites. Okay, so whenever you're doing a development or new construction project, you do not want to start spending money on plans, on permits, on designs, on anything until you know for sure that you have a site that you can build on. So let's say you go and find something on the MLS, on HAR, on Zillow, or just right through the neighborhood. You go hire an architect to start doing work, and then you get that work done, and then you go back to go buy that property. That property is not available anymore, or the seller doesn't want to sell it. The seller sold it, right? Or the price has doubled and it blows your budget. So you always want to make sure you have site control and you know exactly what price point and how long you have to close on the property before you do anything. So there's several ways to do site control. Number one is just a purchase contract. That purchase contract can be written up by a realtor for you. There's some standard contracts out there, or you can have a 1 or 2 page legal document drafted up by an attorney, or you can have just regular communication with someone that even text messages and emails now. If a seller agrees to a certain price and gives you certain terms, for purchase, then that solidifies a contract in court. Okay, so the contract usually going to have some type of cash tied to it that you have to pay the other person to make it a valid transaction. If there's no cash exchange, there's not a valid transaction. So it could be $5, $10 earnest money deposit. It could be not a non-refundable fee that's given to the other party, but you have to have some type of monetary exchange for it to be valid. And you want to make sure you spell out how long of a time you have to do research on the property once you put it under contract, because there may be something that comes up while you're doing research that tells you it's not a good site. Maybe it's contaminated. Maybe there's a pipeline under that you can't build on. Maybe there's no utilities running to the site. Maybe there's an issue with the title work where somebody else might have the right to claim ownership to it. I mean, it could be a ton of different things. Or maybe the site is zoned for one thing where you are, and what you want to do is not permitted, or the homeowners association will not allow that type of project to be built there. We have neighborhoods in Houston right now where I know 3 people right now that are doing duplex construction, and they just found out in that same neighborhood that the deed restrictions say you can only build single family homes. So all 3 of these people are about to lose a whole lot of money because there's nothing you can do. I mean, the best thing you can do is modify the plans. You've already got it framed up, so you have to reframe it to change the whole layout. But those types of things really do exist. So you want to do all that research up front while it's under contract. Okay, another way to have site control, of course, the easy way is outright purchase, but that takes a lot of cash. So if you don't have the cash, just sitting around, not doing anything else, then outright purchasing is probably not going to be the best thing to do. And you definitely don't want to do outright purchase without having done the same research that I just talked about. Okay. Now, one way that I like to control properties the most is called an option contract. So an option contract is a piece of paper that says, hey, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, I like your property. I want to buy it from you. I want to buy it from you for $50,000, but I'm not ready right now. Here's $1,000. Sign this paper. Here's $1,000. And by you taking this $1,000 and signing this paper, you agree that if I come back in any time within the next 12 months to buy this property for you for $50,000, you have to go through with the transaction. So that minimizes your risk. Now, if you never come back to that person, they keep that $1,000. But however, now you know your maximum risk at any point in time in the beginning is only the amount that you put on that option contract. It could be $500. It could be $250. It could be $100. I mean, it all depends on, your negotiating skills and your relationship with the other party, and how well you can win them over. But options is the lowest risk way to do things, especially if you're going to be doing something where maybe you need more than one lot. Maybe you need 2 lots or 3 lots, or you need something to be cleared up with the property. You need some type of clarification, but you want to at least lock it up to where nobody else can go around you and take the property from you. That's what option contracts are for. Okay. So once you have it under contract, how do you finance and fund that? So there's several different ways we do that as well. Again, the easiest way, common way, is cash. If you have cash, that's easy. If you have a bank relationship, you can also do that. Usually banks for land deals, they'll loan usually 60 to 65% of the value of the property. Okay. So if you get it close to value, that means you still have to come to the table with 30-something thousand out of $100,000 cost for a lot. But those options are there. I don't recommend using the bank for that, because then that puts a loan on the property, and it kind of makes it harder when you try to go back to get a construction loan on top of that, because the construction loan lender doesn't want to have any other loans tied to the property, because they want to know that if they have to foreclose, they can, and there's nobody in their way stopping them from taking the property back if you fail to pay. Okay. So my favorite way to control property is seller financing, which is what Crystal did on her deal. Finding an owner that's not in a rush to sell, or for some reason doesn't want to sell outright up front because of tax implications or other things. So you go in there and negotiate with them. Hey, I want to buy your property. I believe it's worth $100,000. I'll give you this amount down. I'll give you 10% down. I'll give you $10,000 right now. And I'll start making monthly payments to you, just like you're the bank. And we're going to act like we're going to spread the payments out over 30 years, but you're really going to only give me 2 years or a year or so to pay this off, which means that gives you a year after you make a down payment to make monthly mortgage payments to the seller directly, get the plans far enough along to where you can then go to the bank and get a construction loan that's big enough to cover the construction costs and to pay off the balance that you owe to the property owner. So that's seller financing. That's my favorite one. And when you have deals like that, if you build a good rapport with them, if something goes wrong, you miss a payment or something, dealing with an individual is a lot better than trying to deal with the banking institution that doesn't understand. It's going to report on your credit. It's going to, could kill your progress. Other ways to do it is small groups of people can do it. It could be a combination of what I've said. Maybe everybody put in cash if you want to. Maybe you get a seller finance deal where the seller says, well, I need 50% of the sale price up front. Well, then if you don't have, let's say 100,000, say you don't have 50,000, you can partner with people, bring 10,000 here, 10,000 there. Small groups can collaborate. And I've also done crowdfunding, but I only do crowdfunding on really big projects that are over $1 million. Dealing with a lot of people, you're dealing with a lot of expectations. People want their money back. They want it back on time. They want it back with a profit. And it's like the opposite of GoFundMe, because you take all this money in, but you have to distribute it all back out. It can be a headache. Okay. And the last one, the most important thing, is having the right team around you for all this stuff. You can buy a piece of property and not know what the hell you're doing, not knowing if it's in a good neighborhood, not knowing if it's an area that floods, not knowing if people want to buy new construction in that area, or the type of project you think you want to build is going to be successful in an area, or do people want to rent in this area? So you need realtors, you need architects, you need civil engineers, you need lenders, you need everything. You need the whole circuit around you. And you need people that are experts in what they do. And that's the purpose of me having this program set up, so that you don't have to figure all of this out on your own. I'm bringing you the teams that I found over the past few years I work with personally. And a lot of them don't even take on new clients unless it's referral basis. So they've all been notified that I'm doing this program, and all of them are on board with working with y'all. And as a matter of fact, every week going forward, some of them will be on the call. I'll have some of the lenders, I have some of the real estate attorneys, I have an appraiser, I have an inspector, I have contractors, I'll have everybody that you can think of that's part of that process will be in here talking to you, on top of y'all hearing from other students and hearing case studies like what we're doing right now with later today with Crystal. Okay, this is me. I want to talk about what I do. A lot of people just are focused on money. I feel like we all go a lot farther when we focus on social impact and profitability at the same time. So I always try to do projects that are focused on revitalization, taking abandoned sites, vacant sites, uninhabited areas, and then doing new construction projects on those. Because when you do new construction, you're usually going to be targeting a higher income demographic to come back to an area where there may be no incomes or maybe low incomes, but you want to do it in a way where you're not displacing people. A more business reason to move like that is because when you go into a neighborhood and you start building new construction and you're the only thing there, and there's people that's been there for a long time, all the existing residents are going to be worried about their property taxes going up. They're going to be worried about, gentrification. They're worried about all those things. And you could find yourself in a situation where now you're fighting against the HOA. You're fighting against the neighbors who are trying to shut you down for a project because you're trying to do something that goes against the grain of where that community is and what they want. So that's why it's always good to have those things in mind. You want to eliminate as many of those headaches and hurdles as you can at the beginning of any project. Okay, so I'm gonna skip through this a little bit because this is more talking about what I just said. This goes to the other presentation. Okay, now, when is the right time to buy and what neighborhoods to buy? So I'm gonna start off with things that you definitely have to consider. You never want to buy something when it's still the hood, when it's the war zone, when it's a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, and there's no activity going on in the area. There's no announcements of anything coming to that area, but you just think, hey, I think I could revitalize this neighborhood. I could change this neighborhood. No, that's too big of a risk. You never want to go there. You want to go where there's always already some sign of redevelopment coming, some big announcement about a project, a school, a stadium, a new subdivision coming. Those types of things are where you want to be. A big company coming to town, they're going to need housing. Those are the types of markets and neighborhoods that you want to be looking for your property. Okay, like the second bullet says, it's much harder when you're trying to be the catalyst. You're trying to convince everybody that what you're about to build is worth them moving to when there's no other interest in that area. That's the wrong way to go. Okay, now, and you go also watch what the cities are doing. Okay, when you see the cities start going into neighborhoods and they start fixing streets, they start putting sidewalks, they start doing greenery, they put in either like new drainage systems, new ditches, those types of things, repaving roads. that tells you the city is interested in seeing activity in that area. And that is a good sign. Those are the type of places that you want to be. Okay. So I'm gonna show y'all one of my projects that I did here. I bought this entire block, once again, owner financing, 450,000, 2013. Okay. 475, 10% down, 47,500. Guess what? I didn't even use my own $47,000. I had another real estate investor come in and put up half the money because he saw the potential in the area also. So I came out of pocket 23 something and now own an entire block of property, right? This was before buy the block was a phrase, all that kind of stuff. I've just been doing it. Okay, so then I had equity in the land. So what I ended up talking to the seller into doing is becoming my business partner on the deal too. So we converted the loan over to a joint venture partnership, which means now we both own the LLC that owns the property, and the property is worth $500,000. So now I can show that the company has assets on the books, which makes it better for lending and makes it better for to take on investors. So after I did that, I went and found somebody that had an old retirement plan from their previous job. They converted it over to a self-directed retirement account, which allows you to invest in whatever you want. And I had $250,000 in equity now in cash to use to get the project going. So initially, and I did take a big risk. I knew that city center was going to build a new project. It's Midway Development was going to build a new project in Fifth Ward. Okay. So what I was telling you earlier, there was a catalyst coming, but the catalyst was not there yet. And the banks and the lenders did not understand that or see the vision yet. So 23 of them told me no. Okay. But since I had hedged my bet and I took a calculated risk, I knew that it was still going to be a good investment. I finally found somebody that had the same vision, because this lender was actually an investor themselves, and they had done something like this in a similar market in California. I was actually the first new construction in the zip code. And once again, what I'm teaching y'all is not to be this risky, not to be as risky as I was. Be more conservative with your first few projects, because this project took me over 3 years to get off the ground. I lost over $40,000 in the process dealing with the wrong teams. Had a bunch of people around me that all had as much ambition as me, as much drive as me, but nobody had the actual experience. Nobody had actually completed a deal. Nobody had actually had the failure and figured out what they had to pivot on to get it right. So that's when I learned it's always better to have a team around me that has all of the knowledge and experience that I know I need, versus everybody just having a whole lot of ambition to want to do something on their own. So 2017, you see the new construction started. This is that same property now. This is what it looks like. Sold the first house for $279. Sold the last one for $298. All these houses now are worth about $400,000 because the property values has gone up so much over there with all the redevelopment going on. Okay, so and this is 2022. You can see everything that's for sale, everything that was pending in that area. And again, I was the first new construction over there, and I was selling them for $279 and $298. So you see where it is now. We'll see what it is a year ago. Now they're in the 500s. Okay, I'm gonna skip past this. This is a crowdfunding project we did, not really tied to new construction. I don't want to get to the current project. So, Crystal, are you here?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay. Come on. Might be turn my sound down. Okay. So, Crystal, introduce yourself. Can you tell them what can you tell everybody on the call what you do for your day job? What's your career?
Hi, I'm Crystal. My day job is a project manager. I work in healthcare, so not real estate at all.
Okay. What's your real estate experience and your real estate background?
Honestly, none.
Okay. So Crystal had been talking to me for almost a year and a half, 2 years about wanting to get into real estate. And, at that point in time, I had a bunch of big projects going on, and the market really wasn't good for the last 2 years, with interest rates hikes and, just the way the economy was. And, sometimes people come to me and ask me about deals, and they'll get impatient because I'm telling them, no, don't do it. Just chill, just wait. Like these ain't things you want to rush into. Well, anyway, Crystal just happened to establish the right relationship and came across a deal that actually made sense. And she actually orchestrated the beginning of it herself. And she came to me afterwards and told me what she was doing. I was like, what the hell? And then I started looking at it. I was like, no, it's actually a good deal. You actually did a great job. So Crystal, can you kind of talk them through what you did and how you secured that acre site?
Yeah, so like Chris mentioned, I've been interested in doing something in real estate for the last maybe 2 years. But it's been a lot of networking, socializing, going to real estate events, just kind of talking to people, and trying to get a feel of where I could fit in real estate. And I ran across some people selling land, like seller financing, how he said, or owner financing. Like Chris said, they were selling lots of land. And I was like, oh, I'm really interested. Tell me what you have available. And they first showed me like 14-acre lots, 20-acre lots, stuff that I wasn't, I'm not capable of doing that. So I said, what do you have that's a little bit smaller? They had a 2-acre lot, and I asked them if it's possible for them to split it into 1 acre. That way I can start a project and I can purchase that 1 acre. And they agreed to that. And one of the things Chris mentioned about a positive of going through seller financing is it's not a bank. So there aren't any like hard terms. There isn't any like hard credit checks. What real estate have you done? It was pretty much just in good faith, and they trusted the person that referred me to them. So that's kind of how I got started. About March last year is when I signed a contract saying, hey, I'm interested. I put some money down, but I actually didn't close till June.
Right. Okay. And talk to them a little bit about the purchase price. It's close to 200,000, guys. But how much did they actually ask you to put down, Crystal?
Initially, they asked me to put down 25,000, but like I said, it's not a bank. I told them that I don't have that much capital up front, so we kind of negotiated, and I got it down to 15,000.
Yeah.
So put down 15,000. Oh no, I need to backtrack. 50,000 was the actual down payment. So told them I didn't have that. We got it down to 25, and they said, hey, if you pay 25 when you sign the contract, we'll give you a year. Then you can pay the other 25. You can finance the rest of it. So a little more negotiation. I ended up putting down 15K, and I owe 35K in a year from my closing day. But like Chris said, I'm hoping to, we've been in the starting process to try to get it financed. What is it called? A construction loan?
Yeah, construction loan.
Pay off the whole balance of the land so we can move forward with the project without owing the original landowners.
Right. So after she did that, when she came to me, the first thing we did was we started looking at the feasibility of the site. What can be done on the site? So the first thing you always want to do is have an architect and a civil engineer look at the site to make sure there's no issues with drainage, making sure you're not like in what's considered wetlands where you can't build on. You want to look for any reason why the site is not feasible. And then you want to have an architect look at the site and give you several different ideas and concepts of what the site can be. Okay. In Houston, 5,000 square foot lots are mostly being subdivided into two 2,500 square foot lots to build these 3-story townhomes on. With Crystal having a whole acre, we had a lot more flexibility and options on what could be done. We had him do some designs with some small apartment buildings, some fourplexes. We had him do single family homes on an entire street. And then what we landed on was a project with all duplexes. So you can take that 1 acre, put a street down the middle, and then build a total of 10 duplexes on the site. And I'm gonna show y'all what that site plan looks like. So Webercrest Road is the main street. And as you can see, there's a little bit of parking close to the street, right under the Webercrest sign. And then we have these lots, 4 lots on each side of the street, and then 2 rectangular lots in the back. So we have 10 lots now. So from this moment, you then can start the planning process. You engage the civil engineers, you engage a surveyor. A surveyor goes out and does what's called an existing conditions survey. The existing condition survey goes out there and it tells you all the elevations across the property, what's the slopes, if there's ditches on the property, if there's gas lines or plumbing lines or anything running on the property, it identifies all those points. It tells you exactly where the boundaries of the property are as well, of course. And that is what an architect really needs to do, a detailed design drawing, because as you design the building for the construction set of drawings, the contractor needs to know, hey, you have the plan to put extra cubic yard of concrete right here, something over there. We have to make sure we match elevation. You might have to bring in dirt to make the land for that. You have to have all those details as you're going into the project. Now, let me show you some renderings. I literally just had these made this week. Well, this is the floor plan that we picked. So let me stick here for a second. In new construction, we are not trying to be super creative. We are not trying to say, hey, I have a great idea. I've never seen it before. I know it will look good in this house. You ain't doing that on your first couple of deals. You're doing something that the realtor can show you, hey, look at these new construction sales. Look how quickly this house sold. Look at this builder building these over and over and selling. Look at this one where the people are competing to buy this floor plan, this house. You want to stick with those plans that look just like that for your first few, because you want to take any risk where you might build something thinking it's a great idea, then for some reason that you haven't thought of, everybody else walks through the house and like, oh hell no, that's not gonna work. You know, having a bathroom next to the kitchen sometimes can be really, really hard to sell. Things like that that you probably don't think of. So you want to go with a floor plan that both the architect tells you is a good floor plan because he's seen other clients build it already and it sells well. You want a contractor to tell you, yes, this is a good floor plan. It's easy to build because sometimes something can be hot and be in high demand, but it's hard to construct and it costs you more money to build it that way. And number three, like I said, the real estate agents, the real estate brokers have to be able to tell you, yes, this is a good floor plan. It sells quickly. Or if you want to rent it out, it's going to rent high because of this and this and this, and that's what people like in that area. So for instance, here's a certain thing. In certain neighborhoods where it's still kind of rough, putting all the bedrooms on the first floor is a bad idea because people are more apprehensive about people breaking their windows. So those neighborhoods, it's always good to have all the bedrooms upstairs when people sleeping up above everybody. So if they hear somebody break in downstairs, you still have time, you know. But those are certain things you don't think about unless you're really in the industry. So some areas like this where it doesn't really matter, you can have bedrooms on both floors. Okay, so this floor plan currently is for a 2-bedroom house, but the architect is going to modify it to make it 3-bedroom floor plans. And this is what the houses are going to look like. Preliminary renderings. So this area is in a 500-year floodplain, which means it's not really gonna flood, but the city engineers are saying, hey, it's a possibility that it might. So what we did to be ahead of that concern is to elevate these houses. So they're literally up on piers, but we put a garage on the first floor so that people can still have somewhere to park the car outside of without having to be outside in the elements all the time. What a lot of y'all are going to see in Houston is a lot of builders have stopped putting garages on houses altogether. They do that because their profit margin is a little bit higher when you do it like that. But I'm a strong believer that when you build something that's in high demand and you really think about the end user, you get a lot quality product, you get a lot more referrals, and business just goes a lot farther. So you'll never see me pushing for anybody to build something that doesn't have a garage, unless it's really a low income affordable unit where you just don't have the space in the budget to build something like that. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is Crystal is actually in the stage right now, like I said, where we're going through the planning and getting the engineers on board to start doing their part. And she actually has just gotten a couple of her bids back from some different engineering companies. So Crystal, you want to just talk through it, or you have it somewhere you can pull it up or share your screen?
I can probably share my screen, that way they can see.
Okay.
Yeah,
let me stop my screen share.
There's a few things. There was a civil engineer, also a replat, and drainage plan. I think those are the 3 proposals I have so far.
Crystal, where's your mic? I think you might be rubbing.
Can you hear
me? It's softer now, but it was something was rubbing just now.
Oh, probably that was me.
Okay, I can hear you now. We can hear you now. We hear you
now. I was saying there's a few things. I have a proposal for civil engineer, a drainage plan, and also a replat. And I was actually asking Chris earlier today to walk me through these proposals, because I don't actually understand all the verbiage. So he said, you know what, it's a great idea for us to talk through it on a call, because there are others like me that may want to get into real estate and not actually understand all the terminology. So y'all can learn with me.
Okay, yeah. So let's start with the replat.
Okay.
So guys, replat is just a fancy word for subdivide. So that is the actual plan that you submit to the city, and the planning department says, hey, I own this property right now. It shows one big rectangle, one piece of property that's ownership. I want to create a bunch of smaller properties within the footprint of what I own. And so they're going to say, okay, well, submit to us the plans of how you plan to do that. And because we're going to want to know, once you subdivide this, how people are going to get to their individual lots. What's going to happen when it rains? Where's that water going to go? Because we don't want everything flooding, and we don't want that water that's now being displaced, that used to go into the dirt. Now that water is running off the side, running into the neighbors' yards. We don't want that. We have to have a stormwater drainage plan that shows where you're gonna tie that in to our public stormwater system. And we want to see where you want to see utilities running it out. We want to see how you're going to affect the traffic flows in the area. We want to see all that stuff. So but the first step in that is the replat and the civil engineering part of the process. Okay, Crystal, you go ahead.
I have the right document.
Okay. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter, whichever one you can
Got
pull
it.
up. Okay.
I don't use Zoom, I use Teams. So where do I share my screen?
Oh, is it letting you share? I see some people in the comments asking about wanting to do a project like that. So some of those lots are actually still up for grabs. I think we have 2 left. And so the benefit of us all working together on this is that not everybody has to have the entire expense of engineering and design individually. You're about to see how much some of this stuff is going to cost. If you're doing it on your own, it could be $15,000-$25,000 per project. But now we're able to have the architect design one thing, replicated throughout the entire site, and have the contractors bid on it throughout the entire site. So we get better pricing on all of them, all at once, okay? And then the people that buy these lots, it's basically going to be one architect, one engineer, one contractor building the entire project. It's just you're responsible for your loans and your funding, which I'll bring those resources to you as well. But yeah, so that's the purpose of this. So, and I definitely want to continue to do more projects like this where we do something that everybody thinks is attractive, is going to sell quick, and we collectively can learn this new construction process from start to finish.
I just forwarded you an email with all of the proposals on one email because I don't think I can share my screen. So just check your email. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Okay.
It's 5 documents, I think.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. Let me see. Go back to the screen share. Yeah, we'll have more projects like this, guys, everyone. And yes, this is recorded, so we'll be able to send out the replay to everybody. Let's go here. Okay.
That's the engineering one.
Yeah. Okay, so this is civil engineering and land survey. So subdivision, once again, which is the replat itself, they're saying it's $6,000. Boundary verification, which is they're just going out there and double checking what the previous surveyors did to make sure everything's legit. And then you have to write a letter to the city explaining to them what the project is, what you plan to build, how much impervious land you're going to create, which means all the concrete, all the houses that are going to make that square footage no longer able to absorb rainwater. They have to send them that, and it's just other little small fees in here. Okay, so this is a pretty short one, and sometimes these fees can change a little bit. So, and you've seen red here, it says the fee shown below for platting purposes only a base fee. There are other additional fees that are assessed by the city of Houston, Harris County Clerk's Office, that vary based on the type of plat. What they're talking about mainly is the same thing I was talking about. So there's a water impact fee. So what the city of Houston does in this process is they look at, okay, you said you're building all these duplexes, putting all this concrete. That means you're going to have this much more volume of water to our stormwater system. We're going to have to maintain that from now until forever. So we're going to charge you a fee for long-term maintenance. It's like we're putting a little money in the piggy bank out of your project costs to cover your portion of what we think the maintenance is going to be along this stormwater system in this area because of your project. So those types of fees, and they vary from project to project. If you're doing one big house and have a lot of grass, your impact fee is going to be a lot lower than if you're building an entire apartment complex where it's going to be all concrete. Okay. And let's see. Okay, so this was DJV. Let's see. Okay, so it's another engineering company. Okay. So this is the actual engineering plan versus what the other one was. So this is talks about the stormwater information, which is what I was talking about just now, guys. What's going to be displaced and what's not. They want to know about the driveway. They want to know, they're asking you to present like what you think the calculations are going to be for how much water and all this kind of stuff is to be displaced. And this is why it's important to have a strong team of experts. You can't just have anybody doing this. You can't hire your friend that's an engineer and think they're going to be able to get this right. You need people that's been working with these offices for a long time, have good relationships with the decision makers in these offices, and they can help you get across the finish line. So, I mean, you see all these different things on here. They're going to do a lot of the coordination for you. Some civil engineers don't do that. They're just going to do their job, send you the paperwork, and then it's your job to do all the rest of the interactions. They'll help you with approvals for site plans. Some of them don't do that. So you got to keep all these things in consideration when you're trying to figure out who you're going to work with. Okay, and these are other things that they're telling you that you need before you start to get your project off the ground that they don't do. So a soil report. So something else that's required everywhere you go is they want the public officials want to make sure you are not building something on a contaminated site that's going to be harmful, toxic, cancerous to anybody that's that's going to be residing there. So they make you do borings into the ground and run tests on the dirt to make sure it's clean. Okay, those tests run from $1,000 up to $5,000 depending on where you're doing the project. The topo survey is what we talked about. That's the topography, which is the elevations and dips and everything in the land. The boundary survey just tells you the border of the property because you can't build 1 inch on the next neighbor's property. You can't build 1 inch into the public right of way that's the street or the public right of way that's a ditch. So you got to know exactly where your property boundaries are. They are not quoting for platting services. They're just engineering and design. And the mechanical, electrical, or plumbing, they're not doing that. Any structural plumbing, they're not doing any of that. They're not doing any construction materials testing for like the quality of the concrete that you use, the type of wood you use. They're not checking for any of that. They have a very specific scope of work that they're doing. Okay, then they're telling you what they're going to give to you. They give you only 2 copies of the plans at these different stages of the project, and they will help you with scheduling. So for this portion of the project, guys, their quote is a lump sum fee of $11,000, and they're asking for half of it basically to be paid up front. And then there will be another invoice sent at 90%, and the final 10% will be due when the entire project is approved. Okay, so what's this? So they talk about it, and then there's overages. So if there's overages above what they believe was budgeted, they are going to invoice you monthly for those things at 10% a month. Okay. Okay, so this is a second plat proposal.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's real much.
I have a question about that last one.
Go ahead.
The soil report. That's something I don't think I have yet. Who do you work with to get a soil report?
Yeah, so there's soil companies. So let me go to my email real quick and let me see. I'll pull one up for you to see.
And how much do those cost?
Yes, let's see. Okay, hold on, that's not it. Okay, so this guy quoted $1,700 and 2 to 3 weeks to get the work done. I didn't use him. But let me go back. Okay, soil poor. Trying to find a good one. Got so many here.
Is it a standard fee or do they charge based on the size of the lot?
Oh,
Like do they
definitely the size of the lot and like how many. So typically with single family homes on a lot, they may go out there and they just may bore 4 different random spots on the property. If you're doing something that's going to be denser and heavier on the soil, they're going to want to know like the actual footprint of the property, like where the building's going to be, where the corner of the building's going to be, and they're going to want to do borings right there too to make sure not only is it not contaminated, but is the soil, but the dirt below there strong enough to hold whatever you're trying to build. Because if it's not, then you'd have to take that dirt out and fill it with another type of dirt. So, and let me show you guys some different types of dirt. Okay, so when you go to the beach, and the sand is wet. When the sand is wet, you know how it gets compact and hard, and like it doesn't like it's really hard for you to even put a footprint in it. Those types of soils are what you really like to build on because you have a solid foundation. Now, think about clay. So I don't know if anybody here was in pottery class, but you have that dry powdery clay like that's in the desert. When it gets wet, it expands, right? So then, but when it dries out, when it dries out, it contracts, which means there's going to be a lot of play in the soil. So if you have a house sitting on a concrete slab, you don't want a whole bunch of clay under there expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting, because that can really mess up your slab on your house, right? So they do all these tests to figure out what type of dirt you literally have in the ground, and they tell you if you need to change that out or if you can keep it. So let me go through a lot of this is really technical stuff. So they give you recommendations on, footing construction, excavations. They talk about the maximum allowable slope of the ground that you can have. So they're basing it off of the site plans. These are actually the results from the testing. Now this is technical, right? But see, it shows you at what level in the ground, what type of soil you have.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Crystal, like, let me see if I have one. Let me see if I have an invoice where I can find it. Let's see.
Oh, that's as good so far. We can move forward with looking at the other. I just wasn't sure what it was, but now, yeah.
Okay. So you got it.
I'll
Okay.
look for research. Thanks.
Okay. All right. And let's go. What's this one? Oh, we just looked at that one. Is that the one we looked? Oh, we were starting to look at this.
The plat proposal.
Yeah. So notice the first plat proposal, the guy was quoted 6,000. This guy's $500 higher, 6,500 for it. And they've included a little bit more of the city's fees, so that's not really coming out of their pocket. Let's see if he's in. Well, no, actually it is. They're a little bit more than the other group. Recordation meeting. Okay. And then these are some other fees that just go along with the project. So see that planning fee is the same. Reproduction fee. So that means if you lose the plans, or if you're building replicating the same project next door and all the other conditions are the same, they'll charge you a fee just to use those same plans for the second lot. And then your solid waste plan too. So where's all your sewage going? You have to submit that plan as well. Okay, so this one's 11,200. The other one was 11,000. So that means there's not that.
That was for a civil engineer.
Oh, civil engineer. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah. So initial payment on this one 5,834, and then final payment 2,000. Okay. Okay. So this is another civil plan, focus on the drainage and all that stuff. Let's see. Items supplied by owner. So they want you to have all this done before you get there. So you have to have before you can get this completed, you have to have some level of architectural drawings to submit to them for them to even really understand what's going to be built there. And your drainage plan CAD file will not be provided. Oh, damn. So this is how they, huh?
What's a CAD file?
Okay, a CAD file is a the digital version of the file. Like when they actually go to into some type of system, AutoCAD is one of the systems they use. It's actually where the plans are drafted at. Like architects use it, engineers use it.
Okay, got it.
But when you have that file, it's a lot easier for you to email the file to the city engineers so that they can go in and look at it. However, if it's just in PDF, they can only look at a piece of paper. So what this tells me is they're probably going to have an upcharge for you to get a CAD file version of whatever they design for you. Okay, so this fee is 3,500, which isn't bad. Okay, let's see. Full payment and only after receiving all files in DWG format as outlined above. Drafting and preparation will take 7 to 10 business days. Okay, once plan submitted, the review process may take 4 to 8 weeks. Okay, so 7 to 10 days for them to do their part. Okay, so what we'll do is, Crystal, we'll make a spreadsheet with each service line item for each type of quote we have here, and then we can compare line item by line item what everything is. Some of the stuff you may be negotiable a little bit if you tell them, hey, we would like to go with you, but this one line item is kind of out of line with what we see from it coming from everybody else. Some will go for it, some of them won't. A lot of them have so much business they don't care. They'll just tell you kick rocks. But it never hurts to just ask. And let me see this proposal in. Oh, that's another plat proposal. Let's see if I can open it. Oh, it's the same one.
It's probably just a different file format.
Different, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll make this decision for her right now, guys. So we're looking at about $20,000, somewhere around 23,000 to get this phase done. And then you have to engage architects after that. So next time we come back, as we get farther along in the process, we'll tell you who we selected. You guys can keep track of how everything's going with that. So with that, I am going to wrap this up. Crystal, is there anything else you want to say?
No, if anyone has any questions, feel free to either ask or put it in the chat.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let's go ahead and open up for questions. So guys, yeah, put your questions in the chat. That'll be the easiest thing to do.
Hi, I'm interested in one of the lots. How do we get more information?
Okay, I'm gonna put Brittany's email in the chat. She's a realtor that works with me, and she's my assistant, and she is keeping track of everybody that wants to get in on the lots.
Sounds great.
Let's see.
Mineral and oil rights. So from what I've learned, whenever you buy land or typically buy land, at least from the people I know that have bought land, you don't get the mineral and oil rights. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. I'm buying what's above the ground.
Yeah, so it used to be that mineral and oil and air rights came with the properties. But as of late, a lot of people, especially in the South, they realize, damn, that I own this land for 20 years, sold it, and they struck oil. So now it's like very uncommon to see somebody to sell the mineral rights with the property. And who knows, the people that she's owner financing it from might not even have the mineral rights. It might be somebody that owned it in 1900 that still has the mineral rights under there. Sometimes you can go to them and figure out if they can be purchased, and there's usually an additional cost for that. But I mean, most scenarios are different. Yes, Tori, we do have access to the recording. I'll be sending that out in the link to everybody that participated in the call. So you'll have it. And some people that didn't make the call will have access to it as long as they were registered. Okay. We have any more questions?
So, don't know if we talked about this, but what's the timeline to kind of have the project completed? So let's say you go through the process, the surveying of the land and the permitting and construction time-wise, what does that look like?
So it's gonna be a wide one. Can you mute the phone? Give me feedback.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. It's a wide window. It could be as fast as 6 to 8 months. It could be a year, because there's so many different variables in that equation. You have the planning process is pretty straightforward. You're going to get your first set of plans from everybody, as long as there's no delay in the process. If the engineer gets held up on something and there's a challenge, that can hold the architect up. That can hold everything up. If everything goes smoothly, let's say you get that stuff done in 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. Then you have to submit it to the city. The city starts reviewing the plans, and depending on how many sets of plans they have to review at a time, it could be a 2-month process, it could be a 4-month process. And then while they're reviewing it, they may find something. They say, hey, well, we need more clarity on this. We need a better description. We need more details on this, or you can't do this. The code change, you have to reset. They're going to send those plans back to us. We have to resubmit after we redesign, and then continue the process again. And usually they'll make you start over. You submit the plans, has to go through every department again to get to the finish line. So once you get through with that, let's say that takes 4 months on the long end. So you're 6 months in on the long end. Then it's time to get ready to start construction. Now I have some contractors, the typical contractor can build a house in 6 months. They have a slower schedule, a slower pace. They pay their subcontractors out in larger spreads, so their projects take longer. I have my preferred builder, who's probably going to be the one that's working on this deal. He can build a house in 90 days. So that's a 3-month to 6-month big window. So if your permits take 6 months, you can still be done in 9 months if we use this contractor. Typical contractor is going to be 12 months. Okay. So yeah, so expect a year, and hopefully we overperform.
I want to add to that too, because a year, like Chris is saying, but keep in mind, I think I executed my contract last March. So in a few months, I'll be already a year in. So you want to also, I went in kind of surprised at how much patience the process was going to take. I kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm buying this spot, let's get going. And it's definitely a process.
Yeah.
It's a good process, and it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, but it's important having the right team, right? Because actuality, Crystal had come across some of the right people, because as we're picking the architect and some of the civil engineers, she's like, oh, I actually talked to that person. But that's just the benefit of not only meeting the person, but knowing, their credibility, knowing their track record, and knowing what to do and how to accelerate it. So now that we started working together on it, like everything's turning quickly.
Honestly, they didn't reply to me as fast as they do now that Chris is on the emails.
That helps too when they know you're legit. They can also smell fresh meat, like somebody new to the game asking questions. They're not sure they want to waste their time away from their dedicated client base that gives them repeat business. So you have all those factors going into it when you're trying to get started and get into it. Okay, do you provide a checklist, a template? Actually, yes, Daryl, we do have a checklist. I'll make sure we get that out to everybody. That's actually available on my site for free, but I will make sure that everybody, what I'm gonna do is I'll create a either Google Drive folder or Dropbox that has all of the information in it. But yeah, I have like a 4-page checklist from beginning to end of everything. But then again, my goal is for y'all not to be trying to do this on your own too quickly. Because it would be impossible. I have to give you a book this thick if I gave you an answer to every possible question that came up, and probably still miss some, right? So it's most important that we go through this process with somebody that has the knowledge and experience that can help you get all the answers. This is not school. You don't get no bonus points for saying, hey, I did it on my own. That you don't want to play that game in this. You lose your ass. Let's see, what you guys have future projects on?
About how much cash that you probably need to start. I think on the next call, maybe I can put together a spreadsheet that shows my expenses thus far, and that'll kind of give you an idea of how much I've actually come out of pocket since I've started, and that might be helpful.
Yeah, that'll be very helpful. Yep. Okay. Let's see, what are the questions we got in here? Oh, yes. Now, let me tell y'all this. So a lot of y'all on that 1-week free trial, that's about to expire. So if you want to stay in and be in here every week, you're gonna have to convert over to the membership plan. I think it's like $197 a month. What that does is that covers me, that covers the team. When I'm bringing these lawyers and these architects in, they're not doing this for free, right? So I got to pay them, and I got to cover my time outside of this for the people that are doing the new construction projects. So we try to come up with something that was fairly reasonable, that made sense, where if you're really serious about this, it's just drop in the bucket compared to what you can lose on making one wrong decision at one time. So make sure you convert over to the full membership if you want to stay in the No Flip Society.
I got a question because I'm lost on that whole thing.
Okay.
What what's this new society?
Rob,
Yeah.
you're in the main group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So the society is for people that want to stay in weekly, and y'all have access to it because you would. So Robin and paid 10,000 up to. We got a couple people that pay 50,000 for personal one-on-one projects. So y'all have access to everything, Rob, everything below. But some people that aren't ready to do their own project just yet, we just have this where they can come in and have conversations and dialogue and listen to us, like what we did today, talking to Crystal.
Yeah.
One time I have you come in and we'll talk about your project because Rob is doing something different. So we got people of all different levels. Rob already owns commercial real estate, and was it St. Louis or Kansas City?
St. Louis.
St. Louis, outright free and clear. He wants to get into new construction projects too, so that's why he came to the group. And this is also being a part of society. You have access and exposure to us doing other types of projects with people like this too, so you can learn and have experience of several different people doing several different projects, hitting several different challenges all at the same time, and it just shortens your learning curve. But yeah, Rob, so that's what that is.
Okay.
Yep.
Excuse me, Chris, I would like to ask a question. I'm sorry, my first language is French, so I miss sometimes some things. So if I want to learn with Crystal, is there a specific amount I have to pay? How does it work? Or if I want to start and build myself, I would like to know exactly the rate. How does it work? I still don't understand the model. How it works with your team.
Okay, yeah. So what I'm teaching is the entire process from start to finish. If I was trying to take everyone on in here and say, hey, you do your own project, you do your own project, and I'm going to help all of y'all with your individual projects, that would be very, very, very hard to do. So what I'm doing is streamlining. I'm finding bigger projects that we can break apart, and everybody that wants to start a new construction deal can do it within these projects. Now, if you want to do the serious one-on-one, we can talk about that separately, where, I'm actually carving out time, or maybe have to hire somebody to work with you directly to get you through a project. But you're going to spend a lot more money when you really could learn the same amount, make more money, when spend a lot less if you just kind of stay with the form that we're trying to put the program in. Does that make sense? So yeah, the cost, like Rob's in the group that they're in a small group, they're 10. We got a couple people that want to go one-on-one, like me, help them personally. That's 50. But it's essentially what it really is. I'm becoming your partner on the deal at that point. That's all it really is. You're still going to make a lot more profit than what I make, but it's all those different levels. And like I said, if you just want to sit here and learn, that's $197 a month, and you can watch all these projects, and you can pull the trigger whenever you're ready. Or you may find somebody that has money that wants to do it, and if you don't feel like you personally can raise the capital, you may run across somebody with money, and then you can bring them into this as your financial partner, and then you can get started then. But the further along you are, and the more knowledge you have at that point in time, is always going to be better for you. Presentation wise, knowledge wise, accessibility wise. Okay, let's see. Oh, somebody actually raised their hand. Dr. Kioma.
Hi, yeah, it's Dr. Chioma. Good evening, everyone. I just have a question. I heard what you just said, but I'm still a little bit confused. So last night I purchased something for $197. I'm assuming that, okay, I know the Black Friday special was the $1 for 1 week.
Yeah.
And then to keep the access, it's $197, right?
Correct. That's it.
And that was a one-time fee?
No, that's a monthly membership fee. Okay,
so that's the $197 that you're talking about for the society?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay. And then now, so that's okay. So let me so like, let's say, okay, so somebody like me, right? I have a plot of land, and I want to start building on it. What would be the next step? Because I hear, reason I'm asking is because you're giving a lot of different options, but I'm just trying to understand, like, okay, like, what if I don't necessarily, like, the land is bought out, right? So I own it. I just want to build on it or whatever. Like, how do if I'm in your society, how would I start?
Well, so you don't have any experience at all, correct?
No, sir. I've done a little bit. It was supposed to be a flip. That didn't work. So I just tore it down and literally did the foundation. And then another contract was like the termites and whatever. So I just tore it down. So it's like just a 5,000 square foot lot over in Edo. And I want to build on it, but I'm just, I've been trying to figure out the best way to go about it.
Okay, so since you have a 5,000 square foot lot, if you want to get actually into the new construction process, then
Mhm.
that you would have to step up to the next level where we're actually gonna do a project. Now, what you could do is bring your project in there. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to bring other people on?
I'm open, to be
Okay.
honest. It just kind of depends on what it entails and what is involved.
Okay, so that could be something where maybe you build one and we could sell the lot next door to somebody. Well, we're gonna like cut your lot in half and sell it to somebody else that's in the program. And y'all
Okay,
both do a project together. Y'all can split the cost of architects, engineers, design, still
okay.
use our contractor and just go through the process like that. Yeah, so it's gonna be a little bit of case by case, guys. So if you have a specific question about your scenario, go ahead and shoot us an email too, and we could talk through each one and we'll show you what level you should be at right now. Like I said, some people just stay 197 for now. Learn if you're not ready, and then the second you are ready, then you can elevate up to the next level.
Okay, and so your email is that email that you put in earlier?
Yes, you can use that one.
Okay.
That is Brittany. So she handles everything. She funnels it and
Okay,
puts it in the right category. Then we reach out to everybody from there.
okay, thank you.
No problem. All right. Anybody else?
Yes, Chris.
Mhm.
Hi, my name is Krisha.
Hey, Krisha, you from Port Arthur? I mean, Lake
No.
Charles. Lake Charles.
Yes, I am.
Okay, you sent me the DM earlier.
Okay, I have a question. There is some family land of ours in Louisiana, and I want to get like more information on what is that? You're talking about owner finance?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you wanted to buy it from a family member.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So set up some time, send Brittany an email and we can talk through that process. But I mean, a lot of that is not like a structured thing I can tell you to say. It's still personal relationships. It's still are they reasonable in what they want to ask for it? Are they willing to be patient and wait for the payments? It's all those different factors you have to consider to see if it works. Sometimes it's better to do it outside of the family because doing business with family always is harsh.
No, I know.
I've seen things where you start an owner finance deal with somebody and they see your plans and they start counting your money about what you're going to make and they change their mind and they don't want to sell it to you anymore or want to raise the price or just not sign. So you got to be really, really careful with all those things. But yeah, we'll set up some time and we can talk about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, well, if that's it, guys, I think we'll wrap it up. You all know how to reach out to us. Once again, just send us emails if you have questions. And we're gonna create a Slack channel, I believe, also. I believe for this group. We should. And then I'm gonna also create that folder that's gonna have some of the files and contract documents stuff that you need. So, and you can review and come back and ask questions on these calls about them. Okay. All right, with that, everybody, I think we'll wrap it up for tonight.
Thank you. Congrats again, Crystal.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Have a good night, everyone. Good night.